Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, I went and did it. I had to do it.
Uh-oh.
I broke out the flannel because it's that time. We're getting close to fall, and in these parts, I'm in New York. 68, kind of chilly today, raw kind of feel compared to what's been in the 80s and sunshine. So yeah, seasonal changes. We're going to talk about that today and how it all affects us. She is a Heyoka, which, by the way, is a storyteller. She's a psychic, a medium, card reader, intuitive coach, all of that. And Janis Reed is back with us on the program. Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, you can find me at Southwest Virginia Psychic Medium. I looked me up. Apparently, I'm online.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, seasonal change. Not many of us like change. I'll be honest with you. If you could make it summer all year long, I'm fine with that. And I know a lot of people are probably saying to themselves, "Oh, wait a minute, fall's great and spring's great." Yeah, all right, they're good. I just know what's coming after fall. Yeah, spring's okay as well, but if I could keep it one temperature, move to San Diego, I don't know. But how do we navigate through these seasonal changes?
Oh man, I'm still trying to figure that out. I am. I was raised where there was just the one. I mean, it was seasonal, but you had to live there to realize that the seasons has changed because they were so nuanced. Instead of watching the leaves change colors like I do now, I used to look out at the marshes, and the marshes change too seasonally. It's beautiful, but if you don't happen to be there at the right time, you won't notice it. And unless you're paying attention and you live there, well, that's just, we don't notice them. But seasonal changes are starting to get me. I'm starting to become depressed. We're going into the dark of the year. Gosh, my shoes still hurt. Just different little things. And I wondered if you did too. I mean, the leaves are starting to drop.
Oh, believe me, I'm right there with you. Listen, I'm not going to complain. We should be grateful. There's lots of positive things to look at, but I will tell you, I don't know what it is. I got a tree right by my driveway, and it's kind of the only one in the neighborhood as I look all the way left and all the way right. That's dropping. It's been dropping leaves for 3 weeks now. And even had a friend come over and said, "Oh, look at all the leaves. Oh, I can't believe summer's over." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I got them. They're here."
Said, "Man, you got the glue, you got the hot gun, you got the leaves. Put them back."
Yeah, I love that idea. It would take a while. Probably would take until
spring when they came back in.
Exactly right. Let me ask. You came from a climate that didn't have a lot of change, seasonal change. Now you're in one that does have change. Do you miss it? Did you miss it?
It took some getting used to. I remember because my dad's job, God, daddy worked really hard so that he would not have to repeat what his father had done. See, granddaddy was a sharecropper. So daddy not only completed the lower grade schools, but he finished high school. And because he had met my mother, he went on and got a couple of little degrees in a local tech college called Georgia Tech. So, he did pretty good for us, but we moved a lot up and down, north to south. Home base was my mother's, that was where they met, was Brunswick, Georgia. My mom's mom and dad were there. My dad's umpteen brothers and sisters were there. So it was just like I was related to Brunswick, Georgia. From Waycross to Brunswick, I could throw a rock and hit a relative. So life, there was a lot of changes, but there was a lot of, I could always go back home in the summertime. At least I'd know my bed was there at my grandmother's house waiting for me. My the hairbrush was still in the drawer, and my cousin was still going to act like a jerk because they were guys. So, but we had the run of the island, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't think youth was a season then because I thought that was life. But then I got older, and it turned out that the seasons of my youth came to a gradual, I don't know that they've ended so much as they've shifted. And I sure have developed a lot of allergies along the way. I don't know how we do it. And I think God was good, or whoever it was that made this thing we call the universe and the world, and the seasonal changes and the pitch of the planet as it twists in space. I think that affects us more than we give it credit for.
Hmm.
Or maybe we are affected by the same things it is, but our focus is more just on being selfish. This is my square 12 inches, so this is what I care about. But I wonder if it's not meant intentionally for at least warm-blooded creatures to live according to the seasons. The days get shorter. We get more comfortable with our big fluffy covers, and the down comforter comes out, the flannel shirts, the wool socks. Oh yeah. And then eventually we get warm and we start stripping them back off again, and we tuck them all away, and we run around in our skivvies for a while, and life is free, and we free all the things that we really shouldn't because our mamas would be embarrassed. And then it gets cold again and we add more layers, and it's like we reveal ourselves in some parts of the years, and other parts of the year we tend to go within. We hide under our covers, under the furry blanket of the winter fur. Yeah, it's coming in. It just, I suppose it should be a smooth transition from season to season, but it never seems like it is here. I mean, I love the change of seasons. I found a place where it's like kind of like where you live. There's actually 4 seasons. There's a few days of this and a few days of that and a long time of that, and then some other days. We've had a summer that's lasted, gosh, winter hasn't really hit us very hard in the last several years. 20 years when I got here, 20 years ago, the snow came up past my waist, and everything just got shut down. Lights went off. There was no internet, there's nothing. So we had candles and the wood stove and the sunlight, and then we went to bed when it got dark because there was nothing else to do. Now it barely gets chilly. And I'm noticing that there's something weird, something unsettling here, because I don't see the visual proof that it's becoming winter. The leaves are only a few of them beginning to change. It's not September like it was when I was a kid. And I wonder how everybody's balance points are being affected. If seasons change 4 times a year, if you're in the sweet spot, and then the seasons suddenly become different, I venture to say climate change. Yell at me all you want to. That has to be affecting our psyche also. There's a lot of crazy Republicans and crazy Democrats, and there's a few really crazy ass independents too, running around trying to rule the world. And that seems like, instead of everybody going off into their individual holes for the wintertime, the seasons are changing. Our needs are changing. Our expectations that we're beginning to learn, we really shouldn't plan on the same thing this year as last year anymore, because we don't know. I mean, it started off with simple things, mountain lions attacking hikers. And then the buffalo started charging people that thought they could just ride them like kids. And now the Sharknado is becoming a real deal. The animals are starting to come out of their seasons too. How much of our mental upsetness is a seasonal change, is being created or intensified because of these different climatic changes going on? For good or bad, what do you think? Do you think we could be affected by these things as a global population, and not just, well, I'm from the South and you're from the North, and then those other people, well, they're from the West. What do you think?
I do in some regards, and I wonder if the changing of the seasons is almost like a cleaning cycle.
Yeah,
Okay, even down in Florida, they have a change of season. It's not the
they do.
same, but there is a change. And especially if you're in northern or central Florida, it's different than it is down south. But maybe it's here to cleanse us, clean us, and then start us fresh again in the spring. Where
I
you
believe that.
are, in the mountains. And I have a friend that moved to the North Georgia, excuse me, mountains, and
Lucky.
it is it could be sunny and 80 during the day in this time of the year, and then 50 during the day, 50s during the day, and maybe 30 at night. Do you experience that where you are or no?
Oh, I do. I do.
Okay.
Last night I went to bed. It was about 1 o'clock, and it was 50,
Yeah.
between 49 and 50. I mean, it was already dropping into the 40s. Um, it had rained all day, so it had cooled off considerably. Today it's not supposed to rain, but the sky is still full of gray clouds because of, I guess there's some very large weather things happening somewhere else, and we get a gray cloud. But yeah, it can shift.
Hmm.
Um, my son lives 2 hours away. He's on the downside of the mountain. He's in the more flatlands, more foothill type lowlands. Um, and I'm in the mountains. It can be raining cats and dogs and storming icebergs here, and it'll be sunny and warm and delightful there. And it's just, there's two mountain ranges between here and there. It's only 2 hours, but it's two mountain ranges because the
Wow.
Appalachians are, well, you know them. They have all these little peaks and ridges that they're made of in the fluffles. So yeah, it can change greatly. Um,
But it's
God,
changing.
it is. It
That's
is. I've got a neighbor. I can walk to her house. It can be pouring rain at her house, and it'll be dry as a bone here.
mm, wow. Yeah.
It's
I
just,
mean, just a different way of life than as is a place like Florida. It's a different seasons, but there inevitably there's change. There's change. There's seasonal change, no matter how you look at it.
right, because some seasons there's alligators and crocodiles, and other seasons though there's only mosquitoes.
Okay. In the floor, is that the
You're going
Florida
to get
way?
bit one way or another. Yeah,
Ultra.
Florida's the yeah, it's very different. And then Alaska is warming, and the frozen tundra that's been like soft ground and grass used to be like the prairies, and then it got froze and it turned into frozen tundra. And as it thaws, it's just turning into water underneath it. Houses are starting, land is going under the water
Mm.
because it had been frozen solid. You could walk on it, bears could play on it. Now, climate change, there's a change of seasons. Are we going to be strong enough to live through our seasonal allergies when they include blowing away glaciers or not planting trees fast enough? It's very interesting.
Hmm.
How I think of these strange things. I know I should be more worried about personal hygiene and things like that, but
Well,
you can't see my toenails.
especially in the winter.
Ooh, I got
Uh,
boots on.
there you go. What's your favorite season?
I think it's spring, really. I really am an empathic person, and spring just sings,
Hmm.
especially here. When I first moved to this area, I just gave up driving. I couldn't drive. That first spring, I could not drive. My mother took away my keys. She said, "No, you ride, I'll drive." Because I'd rubberneck and everything was green and flowery and
Uh,
beautiful. And it sang and it made noises and the creek went, and it was just gorgeous. It took at least the first spring before I was safe to drive. It was just gorgeous. The around here, the snow melts, starts to rise the creeks. They create a ruckus and start coming down the rocky pathways they use. It's beautiful. Every season is beautiful, but I think that little hope of spring is probably my favorite, where it's still cool enough that the monsters and mosquitoes have not come out to eat me yet, but it's green enough that the leaves are starting to get that yellowy lemon green cast about them, and birds wake up sometimes in the morning and see if there's coffee, asking around.
And I guess it's just the opposite of what I said before, why I'm not a big fan. Fall's okay. But I know what's coming. And, spring, what's coming, warmer weather. How bad could that be? It's not snow. So maybe, spring is, I go with that. I guess and again, it's almost like a rebirth. It's something fresh about it,
One more time. Yep. Yeah, we try it one more time. I don't know. The birds come out, and the little baby birds start singing their little songs, and it's very hopeful. We're surrounded by newborns.
Do you notice this? Do you notice this? I was thinking about this the other day, that after Labor Day, it's still kind of warm out, but it almost feels like somebody presses the fast forward button to get us into autumn right away. Like the difference between like a couple of days after Labor Day and today, the 18th, it seems like it was just like that. Like, whoa, wait, I'm not ready. Hold on. Obviously, the days get shorter, and you're more mindful of it now. I don't know why. But then it's also a feeling of like the temperatures are different. The mindset is different. Places you used to, I used to go to have a burger. It's like it'd be a bunch of people hanging around. Now it's like on a weekend. Now it's like, where is everybody? It's still relatively warm out, but everything changes like so fast. That I can't deal with. That's my seasonal change challenge.
It happens just like that too, doesn't it? Just almost overnight, everything shifts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's an odd feeling. Like I figure, all right, September is going to be warm. I'm near the bays and the ocean. The water is usually the warmest. You'll find it all year long. But it's just the mindset changes.
Yeah. Yeah. You go and put your long pants on and consider actually putting your feet into shoes. Stuff like that. Then there's the trade-off, you don't have to shave. Your face needs to be warmer.
I guess the rest of your body can be warmer too.
Yeah, that's my excuse for those too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
We get to eat more because we're all covered up. So we let our bodies get a little bit fat so we stay warm. We don't worry about our bikini bodies until, gosh, that was when I was 13 years old. Okay, so maybe we don't worry about our bikini body as much anymore.
Yeah. And it's less about making plans. Like I'm always, every weekend I got stuff going on. I'm doing this, going to the beach, music festival. I like keeping busy. And now it's just like almost like tapping the brakes, sit home, book, TV, relax.
I understood all that when we had to go back to school, but we're not in high school anymore. We're not even in junior high. That's only supposed to happen to kids in school. Us grown-ups, we're supposed to be able to just keep the party going, 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
But the kids go back to school, and then there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, school is always in session for adults, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. That's kind of what's gotten me into considering becoming depressed. Just looking at things differently. I think as we go from season to season, year to year, there's like the 4 changes, then there's the next 4 changes, and the next, however you want to do it. We develop our own reactions to the changing of the guards. We notice something that maybe we didn't notice before. I didn't realize until this year that the Queen passed away on my son's birthday. Just different. We start putting things in a different perspective. As I'm getting older, I'm just shocked as pieces that I can say that, because you can't trust anybody over 30 was the battle cry. And now I am a little bit over that. I'm looking at things differently. It's like my seasons really are changing.
Hmm.
Um, I've already done the croning business physically, but it's a deeper thing than that. It's a perspective shift. Not only are things changing around me, but I'm starting to get curious about how I might recreate. I mean, if it's always the same dozen crayons that come up 4 times a year, you ought to be able to change colors with those crayons, if you use them differently. There's and I've been getting into deep personal thoughts here. There's a thing on my office wall that says God made the world round so we can all have center stage. I think that's a Carlos Santana quote, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, now you're making me think. And as much as
Oh,
we talk
good.
about about this seasonal change whole situation, when you get right down to it, and people don't generally like change, you fear change. But
Not if I can help it, I won't.
you know what's going to happen. We know there's no surprise. It's not like it's not the end of winter and you're expecting spring and then all of a sudden the universe says we're gonna do another 6 months of winter. Gotcha. You know what's coming next, so it really isn't that much of a surprise. So we
It
should be
really
able to,
shouldn't be.
yeah, we should be more easy to embrace it. Before we run out of time, I do want to say, I want to shout out Melissa, who reached out to us, instant feedback
Hey,
steve at
hey,
gmail.com.
Melissa.
And she asked, can we ask questions? And this is something we talked about a few
Yeah.
shows ago. If you have a question for Janis, doesn't matter what it is. What type of questions would you be able to entertain?
Oh well, let's see. Should I get this one or that one?
Mm-hmm.
I work with life changing decisions a lot. I'm not
Okay.
very good with little toothy things like, should I get the pink one or the blue one? But
Okay.
whether or not you need the Ferrari or the truck, you let me know.
Big problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, the life-changing ones, the insight, you're the person for that. And again, instant feedback, Steve at gmail.com. Or
Yeah.
if somebody wants to get some direction directly from you in terms of what you do, and that is
South.
mediumship, readings,
Yeah.
card readings, how do we find you?
I looked it up, as I said, Southwest Virginia psychic medium Janis Reed. You can hit me up on Facebook, or no, send me an email at goddessjanis2@outlook.com. And I was Goddess Janis for the longest time until the gods took that from me. And now I am little letters GODDESS JANIS 2@outlook.com. I am not Janice. Mom said that was never going to happen. So I am Janis
Well, you are
at
you're
outlook.com.
you are a nice Janice, so that I guess it's sort of a Janice, but we say Janice.
Well, I went to finishing school, so I know how to put on the scarf.
There's a title I haven't heard in forever. Finishing school.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa,
Whoa.
whoa. Okay. And I'm sure you had a uniform on.
Well, no.
Oh,
Mom found my sister and I a finishing school. It was over the summer, and it was produced by J.C. Penney.
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. J.C. Penney. And we went like it was a deal. It was a school. We learned about using makeup and how to, which lipstick light or dark for night or day, and which kind of stockings to wear, and foundations and undergarments. I mean, it was in the day when you wore the little gloves.
Hmm.
But we got
And
this
and
letter.
nowadays you're worried the decision between leather and latex. No, I digress. I'm
Well,
kidding.
well, should I, if I should wear this thing I worry about now is if I put this flannel shirt on, will I look like Steve?
Well, truth be told, it's time for sweats tonight because
It
it's
is.
going to get colder around these parts too. Janice, always great having you on here. Love your insight, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Hey, get hold of me. I'll tell you a story.
And you
Enjoy
do,
yourself. I'll
and you
talk
do
to
them
you
well.
soon.
Yep.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.